This is a recording of Lesson 8. You need to read through to page 112 and then begin with step 1 at the bottom of page 112. Again, when you open these diagrams, make sure you're in the right diagram so you'll have the correct options to choose from at the top. So from the File menu, or the Open Diagram button on the control bar, open the Data Flow Diagram DMV system. This is the context diagram for the project. Click the right mouse button on the Process Driver's License System to open its object menu. Choose Explode. This opens the existing child diagram driver's license system and is an alternate way to navigate between the diagrams of your project, avoiding the File menu. Click the right mouse button on the process labeled Issue License and choose Explode. This opens the existing child diagram driver's license system and is an alternate way to navigate between the diagrams. Click the right mouse button on the process labeled Issue License and choose Explode. The flows attached to the parent process are dragged down to the spawn-created diagram entitled Issue License, where the three process symbols from the functional decomposition diagram were placed. Maximize the diagram. The dragged down flows are lined up on the sides of the child diagram. Input flows are on the left, output flows are on the right. Since you did not move the symbols on the diagram before nesting, it is possible that the dragged down flows were drawn over a symbol. Move the symbols and attach the flows as shown in Figure 8.4. Which is on page 115. To move a symbol, click and drag it with the left mouse button. To attach the lines, click one endpoint, then click the left mouse button on the middle of the data flow and drag the line so it is positioned correctly. When the data flow is selected, it changes color and the line becomes a dashed line and is moved on the diagram. Do the same for the other data flows. Ignore for now the other flows you see in Figure 8.4. You will add them later in this section. So basically what I'm doing is just moving what I have. And I believe that's all we have right now. For this one. The other arrows and processes have not been drawn. So now on page 115, add two new data flows, license approval and photograph. Since these are internal flows as opposed to net input or net output data flows appearing in the parent, the nest function could not create them. You may want to change the data flow lines from straight to elbow. This can be done by highlighting the line and then selecting line settings, like this one. will change for you. To change the orientation of the elbow, position the cursor over the line segment handle to change and click the Do Not Release, the left mouse button. Move the mouse lightly until the line changes from solid to dash, and then press the right mouse button. Release the left mouse button to save the change. So back to number 5, add 2 new data flows, license approval and photograph, which you'll see in figure 8.4. On step 7, page 116, click the T button in the control bar to add the caption text Issue License to display the title Issue License. If you wish, you can add the file DMV database to this diagram. Since it appears in the context diagram, this is not necessary, but some people feel that showing it on a lower level diagram adds clarity. Move the flow New Licensee record to attach it to the file DMV database. A symbol is considered attached to a line when the endpoint of the line is touching the edge of the symbol. Select Save from the File menu. So you're fine on this one right here. And now we're ready for step 1 on page 116. Again, make sure you read the directions. Set the zoom level to 66% from the View menu. Select Nest from the File menu. Select Parent from the Submenu. You move up the diagram tree to display the diagram Driver's Licensing System. With the left mouse button, select the process symbol, Administer Road Test by clicking on it. It is highlighted as the current object. From the File menu, select Nest and then Explode. Choose Create New Diagram. If you had previously nested this process, the child diagram would have displayed automatically. This option is useful to drag down new data flows that you may have drawn on the parent diagram to child diagrams after the child diagram has been created. The new diagram is drawn with your input flows in the upper left corner of the diagram and the output flows in the upper right corner. If you cannot see the flows, select 33% zoom from the View menu and your diagram scales down so that you can see more of it. Select Save from the File menu and then click OK. The title of your diagram defaults to the name of the parent process. Visible Analyst indicates that it is saving both diagrams. This is because they are involved in a nest relationship, and both ends of the nest relationship must be saved in the repository. On page 118, step 1, click the first symbol button Process in the control bar. Add and label 3 processes: Validate Applicant, Test Vehicle Knowledge, and Test Driving Capabilities. If you flip over to page 119, you'll get an idea of where to place these. We can always move them around. Select Save from the File menu. Put the cursor in selection mode by clicking the Select Mode button on the control bar. Select the Data Flow Learner's Permit. The line handles appear. Drag it to the edge of the process symbol labeled Validate Applicant as shown in Figure 8.6 on page 119. Attach the other drag down flows as shown in Figure 8.6. Again, you don't have all of these yet. You're just moving the ones that you have. That should be all of them. I'm on step 5. Click the first line button on the control bar, which is the data flow line. Add a flow from process validate applicant to test vehicle knowledge. Label it valid applicant. Click the straight line button on the control bar and add an input flow into the process test driving capabilities and label it test criteria. Okay. Let's put it here, like the diagram. Add a flow from process test vehicle knowledge to process test driving capabilities, but leave it unlabeled by clicking the cancel or pressing escape when you are prompted to enter a name. Add an unattached data flow labeled driving criteria label it driving criteria. You have to double click at the end of the arrow to make it stop. File, save. So we should have most everything we need for Figure 8.6. We're still missing a few. But as long as everything you have on here is in the right place, you're good. Now I'm on page 120, splitting data flows. Click the Select Mode button on the control bar to put the cursor into selection mode. Display the object menu for the data flow labeled Road Test Criteria. Choose Split Data Flow. In the box labeled Enter Subflows, type in Vehicle, Familiarity Test, or Criteria, sorry.